everybody, how are you? Welcome to Watch Me Work Wednesday. My name is Amber from Glen Abbey Decor, and I come to you live every Wednesday at 2 o'clock, showing you another project that I'm working on, and also to give you some tips and tricks and things that you can do when you're creating and crafting at home. So today I'm going to show you how to do decoupage, or I think that's how you say it. I might not have quite the right accent on that, but it's the process of taking a piece of paper or tissue paper or something like that and applying it to a surface to give it a background. So this is one example of a decoupage project. So that's just a piece of scrapbook paper that's been applied to a block of wood. So it's just, I love making these kinds of projects with scrap pieces of wood. So I've got all kinds of little pieces of wood like this when I am cutting down my porch signs or making planter boxes and things like that. I always have these little scrap pieces. So it's great to make projects with that, but it's taking a piece of wood like that and applying a piece of paper over top. So I'm going to show you the process of how to do that. I have one already made, ready to go. So the other thing you can do, I use these little canvases. You can get these at the dollar store. I think you get 2 or 3 for like $1.25. But they're the flat, hard canvases. So they are great to use for this type of a project. But I'm going to show you how I did this process, and then I'm going to show you how to decorate something on the front of this so you can see what it looks like. So what you need is any kind of piece of paper. If you are into scrapbooking or anything like that and have pieces of paper lying around the house, this is perfect for it. You can use tissue paper. I've got some scrap paper here. I did this cute one as well. I haven't decided what I'm going to put on the front of that one yet. But I grabbed these at the dollar store as well. They come in it's like a pad. I think it was like $4. And it comes with all kinds of different ones. I got 3 different ones. And then I also got this one here, which has like scenery. Because I thought, oh, well, those will be really cool then to have like different scenery backgrounds. And then you can put a nice saying on the front of them. So you can grab those at the dollar store as well if you don't have scrapbook paper laying around the house. So I'll show you the process of how to do it. The other thing you're going to need is something called Mod Podge. So it looks like this. You can get it at Michael's, Walmart in the craft section, anywhere kind of you buy crafty stuff. You can get it. It comes in a couple of different finishes. Completely up to you which finish you want to use. I use the gloss, so it's got a little bit of a shine to it. I don't know if you can kind of, when the light kind of hits it, you can see it's got that glossy look to it. I personally like the glossy, so I go with that one. There's a matte finish, and I think there's a couple others as well, but any of them will work fine. Then whatever surface you're going to use, you can do this on wood, on like cardboard. You can do it on like tin and metal as well, and even on glass. And I'm going to take my piece of scrapbook paper, so you can see I already cut out one of these. And the way you want to do it is you want to lay your surface down over top, and you want to match, I kind of line up the corners, and then just take any marker or pencil and you're just going to draw a couple of lines just to trace it out. It's much easier to cut your paper to size before you apply it versus doing it afterwards. I find if you've got too much paper kind of hanging off the sides afterwards, it's a lot to try and get like the nice clean edges. You can use sandpaper. Like if you've got like a little bit of sandpaper, I have a sandpaper block and I just wrap a little piece around it. You can do that and kind of just go over the edges like this to smooth off the edges. But I find it only is like really good when there's just a tiny little bit that's gone off the edge. If you've got big, huge pieces off the edge, definitely cut them and then sandpaper it. But way easier if you just cut to size. So you can see here, it's exactly the same size. So what I'm going to do first is open my Mod Podge. It just looks like glue inside. Let's see if you can kind of see there. It just looks like white glue. And I use just a foam brush to apply. And what I'm going to do is put a layer of Mod Podge on my surface first. And then I'm going to apply my paper to it. And then we're going to work on the top. So you want to be pretty generous with this. And nice thing is you don't have to be super neat. You can just apply it across and working all the way You want to make sure, especially make sure that you get lots of it right on the edges, because you don't want your piece of paper pulling up from the sides. So I always make sure to be very generous around the edges for sure. And just covering all of this up, and then flip it over. I also like to have a wipe handy, because if you get any of this stuff on your fingers, it's like glue, so it's sticky. I just use the lid to rest my foam brush in. And now I'm going to push my piece of paper on top. So you want to line it up and make sure it's straight. And then you're going to smooth it down. And it's really important to make sure it's nice and flat and smooth, because you don't want to have any air bubbles or bumps in it. If you get air bubbles or bumps in it afterwards, it's really hard to kind of get it out. And then I'll also face it down and just press it as well. You can kind of hold it here for a minute or two, and then it should look like that. Just be nice and stuck firm on your surface. And then what we're going to do is apply the Mod Podge on top. So what we want to do is 2 to 3 layers of this. Reason I made one to work with to decorate afterwards. I want to show you the process here, but you got to let it dry for about 15 minutes between each application. So that would make for a really long video today. So you want to apply it, and you want to make sure you get all right up to the edge and all the pieces. And you want to do it in nice smooth strokes and smooth it out, because you don't want lines of the Mod Podge to be in there, because otherwise it's going to dry like that. And you're going to get these lines of like what looks like glue in the middle of your design. So again, working from one side to the other, you just want to spread it all out. Working from one side, working down, and we're almost done here. So again, making sure you get right off to the edges and finishing it up. So what you want to do is, once you've applied all the way across, I wipe off any excess, and then I just go back over it again, just making sure I haven't left any clumps of it on there, because I don't want any clumps to dry. So it should start to look somewhat transparent as you're doing this. And just smoothing right across. It is going to be like cloudy. That's okay, because it will dry to a clear consistency. So it'll look like this. I don't know if you can kind of see that it's cloudy in the picture, but you want to make sure the whole thing is covered, and then just set it aside to dry. So I'm just going to put it over on the side here, and I'm going to wipe off my fingers because I've got a little bit of glue on them. And then what we're going to do is take this one and decorate it. So that'll dry for about 15 minutes. Once it's dry to the touch, apply another coat of it. After 2 coats, you can kind of see whether you need to apply more or not. Like these both have 2 coats on them, and that was more than enough. I don't feel like the paper coming through or anything like that. Like, it feels like there's a nice, good, solid coating over the paper, and it feels like really smooth and shiny. So you kind of go by feel. If you can still feel like a little bit of the paper there, it doesn't have that really smooth finish to it, then just apply a 3rd coat, no problem. Okay, so now that that's all done, I'm going to put the lid back on my Mod Podge here, and I'm going to work with a design. So the design I chose today, this was actually one of our Club Couture designs from a while ago, but I like the saying here, "You are beautiful." So I'm only going to use that part of the design. I'm not going to use the rest. I've got flowers on the background, so I don't need to add any flowers into it. So I'm just going to peel my transfer, apply it to my fuzzing cloth, just to pick up a little bit of the lint. The other nice thing with these two is you don't have to wax the surface or anything like that. Like, they're really smooth, nice finish. And if you do make a mistake on it, super easy, just with a wipe it off and then redo it. It's very forgiving. All right, so I'm gonna line this up. I want the "You are beautiful" to kind of be in the center of my design. And this is where you kind of have to play with it a little bit and kind of eyeball it. All right, so I think I want it right there. So I'm going to smooth it all out and make sure that there's no bumps or anything like that. And if you want to make sure that you don't go over top of your wording that's below, you can take a little bit of transfer tape and just cover that up, or you can work along the sides. Where's the beginning of the tape? Here we go. So I'm just going to grab a little piece of the tape. So it's kind of like painter's tape. So I'm going to apply that right over the top of those words there because I don't want any of that part of the word. And then what I'm going to do is kind of just make sure, okay, that looks like it's on straight. I'm off to the edges and the sides there, no problem. Okay, so I'm going to work with white, and then just going to give my white a stir, and then grab my squeegee. So I'm going to use a bit larger of a squeegee here because it's a little bit bigger of a word. If you're working with smaller designs and smaller words, just use a small squeegee. A small squeegee would work for this one too because it's not super big. The bigger one just applies it faster and covers more space. All right, so you want to make sure you've covered your whole area, and then wipe any excess back into your jar, and then we're going to scrape across and get off any extra paste. And then we're going to peel up the design, and I just like to peel slowly back. And there we go. I'm going to drop that in the water bath and wash it. So there we go. You are beautiful. So it's kind of hard to see there with the light, but you can see there, cute little design, super easy to do. And you're ready to go. Now, what I would probably do, depending how you're going to display this, like you could pop that into a picture frame or something, or you can just, like, if you've got like a little easel, you can just set it on an easel. It doesn't need a frame or anything. You could even put like a clear coat of paraffin over top of this, just to protect it, to make sure that the chalk doesn't wipe off, especially because it's kind of a really smooth surface, or put another coat of Mod Podge over top, either one. If you've got the Mod Podge going anyway, so put a clear coat of Mod Podge. If it's some kind of like a wood sign like this, if I was going to display this outside, I would actually put a clear coat of the all-weather water-based paraffin over top of this, just because it's going outside, and I feel that that protects a little bit better from the elements than the Mod Podge does. So that's 101. That's how to do decoupage. So you can make all kinds of cool, neat backgrounds for your designs. And then you can get creating. So if you do some decoupage, I'd love to see some pictures. Post them on your social media and tag Glen Abbey Decor, so I'll be sure to see them. And I would love to see what you create.